Ready or not, here's Advent. I suspect after waking from our tryptophan, turkey-induced comas, we are leaning more towards not ready. But don't worry. Here are some Advent images to help us get ready for his arrival. First, growing up, my parents bought a vehicle that had an early digital compass built in. One problem, though, periodically it needed to be recalibrated. The instruction manual said drive to a large parking lot and turn in slow circles. So we drove to our parish parking lot. That's the first image of Advent. We come to church to recalibrate our internal compass, to find the direction to God. Over time, God slips from being the organizing principle of our life, and Advent is the time to reset God to the highest point. The prophet Isaiah said in the first reading, "The Lord's house shall be established as the highest mountain, and raised above the hills. All nations shall stream towards it." Second, have you ever had a dream that you showed up at school unprepared for a major exam? We awake then with great anxiety. The word Advent literally means an arrival. In the ancient world, it signaled the arrival of a king to his kingdom. As Christians, we use the word Advent to signal a double preparation, to celebrate Christ's first coming at Christmas and to be ready for his second coming. In the Gospel, Jesus said, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man." The great flood caught many by surprise, but Noah and his family were awake and prepared. Third, if a pop fly baseball was headed into a crowd, we would yell, "Heads up." It is an expression that snaps us out of our sluggishness with a jolt of adrenaline. This Advent, we must utilize the Scriptures as our heads up to get ready to meet God. St. Augustine loved the disordered pleasures of the world until he read the second reading. The night is advanced, the day is at hand. Let us then throw off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us conduct ourselves properly. He immediately sought baptism and became a Christian on fire for the Lord. Fourth, Pope Benedict compared Advent to being ill. Illness and Advent both rush upon us and force us to slow down. Both focus us on wanting to be well again. The difference is, Advent is the medicine to restore our joy in knowing Jesus. Advent, meaning arrival, should be thought of as the joy of a family member returning home for the holidays. We put the house in order. We muse about what we want to say and do when they arrive, and then we select the perfect gift to share with them. Our Advent wreath is a visual countdown that Christ is coming to pay us a visit. Don't let Christmas be a casual visit from our Savior. Rather, have the courage to say, "Stay with us, Lord," like disciples on the road to Emmaus. Lastly, Isaiah bids us to do some mountain climbing this Advent. Come, let us climb the Lord's mountain, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may instruct us in his ways, and we may walk in his paths. There are many great saints that have sound paths towards God, and we call them doctors in the church. The saint with the shortest and most challenging path up the mountain towards God is certainly St. John of the Cross. He offers a beautiful image of our soul as possessing great caverns that are infinitely deep because they truly desire God, who is infinite. The problem is, we try to backfill these infinitely deep caverns with finite pursuits, such as money, materialism, social media, popularity, power, pleasure, etc. Finite things do not fill the infinite capacity of our soul, but rather sicken and starve it. In order to take a pass on the finite things of this world and to go to the infinite of God, St. John of the Cross said, we must pass through the dark night of the senses, and then the dark night of the soul. In the dark night of the senses, we detach or purge what is less than God from our life. Like Jesus in the desert, we must undergo trials and temptations. Jesus fasted for 40 days because it helps us to take a pass on earthly consolations. The next step is the dark night of the soul, where God draws close. When Jesus stepped into Peter's boat, Peter said, "Depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." Peter suddenly saw himself in a new light. This stage illumines us to the immensity of Christ's light versus the darkness of self-love. This is painful, as the Lord compares and contrasts himself to what we have chosen. In his divine light, we see our weaknesses next to his strength, our emptiness next to his fullness, and our lack of focus versus the attention we owe God. When our insufficiency meets God's overabundance, we can rightly say, like St. Paul, "It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." During Advent, we are not preparing for another day called Christmas. We are preparing for a person named Jesus. So let's be ready. For St. Augustine wrote, "Let us not resist his first coming, so that we may not dread the second."